Hey everybody, Brent Moore's here. I want to talk to you a little bit today about bringing your scans up to the next level and some of the more sophisticated things maybe you can do with the stock hacker on the thinkorswim desktop software. So we're going to do that next. Let me just mention a few things before we get too far into this. One, just remember that the paper money software application is provided for educational purposes only. And past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. So let's take a look here at thinkorswim. I'm on the scan tab. I'm on stock hacker. So, some places will call it a screen. Here we're calling it's on the scan tab. The point is we're trying to find a stock to potentially, consider. And, there's some basic functionality on scans. I think a lot of you know that. And one of the great things about scans is you can narrow down a large list of stocks into some that are of more interest to you. Also, you can save those scans for the future that you create and be able to reuse those. And you can create a watch list. Automatically, when you save the scan, it will save as a watch list there. But today, I really want to focus on embedding saved scans within one another to really up your scan game. So let's talk about that. First of all, I'm just going to clear my filters here. And I know a lot of you know how to do a basic scan. You can add a filter and put in the parameters that you want. But let's just give you an example. One thing I don't want to just focus on is filters. Up here, you have a lot of stuff up here you can add. So for example, if I want to look in the S&P 500 stocks, I can do S&P 500 and I can narrow it down, we'll say to consumer staples. So I'm going to go by industry and consumer staples. And there we go. Now, if I click on scan, what I've done is I'm just showing stocks that are in the S&P 500 that are consumer staple stocks. So easy way to narrow it down. What I may even suggest to you is you create one of these for each of the sectors. Okay, consumer staples, materials, consumer discretionary, etc. And then you can save those and you can use them in the future. Okay, that'd be my first suggestion to you. But here's the great thing. Once you've saved this scan, now you can use this save scan as a parameter of another scan. In other words, we can embed it in another scan. So let me give you an example. Again, let me just kind of reset this all and to give you an example of what I'm talking about. I'm going to clear my filters out. And what I'm going to say is this. Let's say I want to look for stocks that have been paying dividends for the last 25 years and increasing their dividends for the last 25 years. So I can go and scan all stocks. I can go to public and I can go to 25 plus year dividend. Okay, so that's one way to do it. And we're going to add a parameter. We're going to add yielding at least 2%. Okay, so I'm going to add a filter. I can just click a stock filter here and I can create a yield of a minimum of 2%. And there we go. So there's a scan. But what I can now do is I can say, I only want stocks that are in the S&P 500 consumer staples. Well, normally you wouldn't have that. You'd have to add multiple parameters to do that. But now when I want to do this, what I can do is I can go to my pre-saved scan that I just saved. I can go to S&P 500 consumer staples. That is now a parameter in my other scan. I've embedded my previous scan into this one and it narrows it down. Now I've got 25-year dividend increases on S&P 500 consumer staple stocks that are yielding 2%. Now the whole purpose of this wasn't to give you a specific scan that you should use. It's not a recommendation. The point is, once you create that scan, you can embed it in another scan, and you can use that. I do this all the time in these scans. And use your creativity. Come up with scans, save the scan. And by the way, to save the scan, you just click on this 3-line menu. It's kind of the middle one there. And once you save it, you can save the scan query. You just name it whatever you want to name it. And once you save it, this scan that you've saved is now going to be in your personal list of saved scans that you can use within other scans. I'm hoping you find that helpful, everybody. It's a feature I use all the time in thinkorswim, but it's not a beginning level feature, but it's an important feature. So I wish you the best in all your trading.